I'm with SID. All right, let me report a little bit on the first meeting, the constituting meeting of the Luxembourg Staff Committee. Well, it came to electing the bureau of the committee. That is to say, it's sort of like the executive committee of the staff committee or whatever, or the board of the staff committee or something, sort of the inner circle that tries to set up the agenda and that, does all sorts of work that guides the committee as such. You could say a little bit in a Stalinist party, it's the Politburo of the central committee of the party. Now, the opposition put me up as a candidate for the bureau, and I gave a little 1-minute presentation. I reminded the Union Syndicale Luxembourg, the USL, that I had a postgraduate degree in EU law. I reminded them that I've been involved in all sorts of progressive work ever since my opposition to the Vietnam War right on to today. And I reminded them that in 2014 it was SID with me who supported their one-day strike when very few other unions did. And so I said, you see, I can be cooperative. Well, nevertheless, the people misrepresenting 70% of the staff voted me down. They said, no, we don't want you on the staff committee. And it's interesting to note that among those people, there was only one who had slightly more personal votes than I did. All the others had fewer votes than I even. Okay, so, it's not really the end of the world. I mean, after all, in a staff committee that's controlled by the USL, how interesting is it to be in the bureau? Well, so things proceed, and eventually at the end of the meeting I get a chance. I asked the USL, well, you have all these wonderful projects going, you want to help the British colleagues now after Brexit, you want to try to obtain a so-called correction coefficient for Luxembourg. All these things are very nice. And, I would be ready to cooperate with you on these things. Now, I'd like to know, how do you plan to go about fulfilling these promises that you made to staff? Well, first they come back and they say, oh, don't be so impatient. We've been working on this for years. And then they add something which almost silenced me, but only almost. Namely, they said, what about you? Do you have any ideas how we could achieve these goals? And so I said, wait a minute. Like an hour ago, you refused to vote me in the bureau, and now you tell me that you want my ideas, you want my input on how to fulfill your promises? What is that supposed to mean? I mean, where are we here? This is like Alice in Wonderland. Well, anyway, it got even a tad better after the meeting was adjourned. One of the 14, I'll not say whether it's a he or a she, and I certainly won't say the name or anything else, but one of these people walks right up to me and says, look, I'm sorry, Michael, I wanted to vote for you, but the bosses of my union wouldn't let me. You see here at this point, this comparison with a Stalinist party isn't even quite so wrong. Because, the 14 people who they got into the committee through a very crazy and anti-democratic set of rules, at least they could represent different nuances, different streams of opinion, different threads in staff. But that's not allowed by the bosses of the USL. Nope, they impose iron discipline. Now, I admit that this iron discipline has made the USL very successful. But what kind of a success is it if you exclude 70% of your colleagues from democratic representation? It's the kind of success that I never want to have. Thank you for listening.